Well, I think the ideas were sound, but what about proof of concept? Come back after the titles and we'll see how it went. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge from Outside Outside the American Outsider, a Night of the Rhomboid Table here. And in my last layout update video, I talked about wanting to build an extension of my high-speed train parking area to create more parking lanes and running it through the rest of the closet. So I've been working on that. And in this video, I'll show you a little bit of what I've done. There's definitely some hiccups I run into, but nothing too bad. There was an issue of I actually thought I was working with the same bookshelves that I had built, but no, they actually were different bookshelves. I built a bunch of small bookcases, and then I had built some really long, bigger ones. So there's actually a difference in height where my brain was like they should be level because it's the same type of bookshelf out here as in the workroom. Oops, so you'll see that. So let's get to those videos and show you what I've done. Okay, so I've gone out and finally bought the wood. So I've got my little slats I'm going to do, but there is one, dare I say, miscalculation. I was thinking the cases out there through that hole, which you can't see, the bookshelves on the other side. I forgot these are not the same mirroring ones. I saved some of one size, some of the other. This set of shelves I built at 35 inches, and the bookshelf, which I will, those shelves I built at 31. So there's actually 4 inches difference. Now these have almost 3.5 inches of, because that's 2x4. Actually it's 2x3. So it's about 2 3/4 inches up. So that's about 34 inches. This is 36 inches plus 3/8 of an inch. So they're going up, about 1.5 inches. So I bought these slats to make it even on both sides, but I don't need those slats. Doesn't mean I can't use them for something else later. So instead, I'm just going to mount this plywood straight to this bookshelf, and I will drill it in. But the thing is, what you can't see is I've had to mark a little wedge here because this board's going to go all the way up into the corner the other way. I'll turn this 180 degrees because I have to notch it and fit it around this brace for these shelves here, and then the other board will have to be notched to go around the other brace down there. Now I bought 3 of these boards because my goal was to go all the way to the electrical box there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So my bridge here is actually going to incline a bit coming in, and you can see I've bought this is a 1x3, and it's going to come through and come from the other way, and that hole's going to have to be raised a bit because the track plus the train is not going to quite fit through there. So I got to raise that hole up, but that's what we're working on. So first thing is I got to take my saw and rip this square out and go from there. All right. So one peach notched in. I gave myself a little extra playroom there, but what the heck. But it's all square and fitted in here. So now I got to set the other board in and notch it around that frame. Okay, so the 2 boards in. Now I just got to create the bridge here, which will be the real fun. Okay, so the next step, I use some scrap just to create a brace to even out the 2x4 down there. And I took the piece I'm going to use as the bridge, and I put some ridges on it just to prevent it from going up. If it derails or something like that, it's got a tall enough buffer here to prevent it from falling off. I might extend this, go higher with some plasticine or something like that just to really keep it in place. But that'll give me something to mount the plasticine to. So now I just gotta level it and do it, and then just fix that hole there. So we'll see where I go. Okay, so I put in a little brace here to hold up the bridge, and I'll show the other side. I did have to cut up into there a bit. But should be okay. Once I make sure the trains can clear, I will put some new bracing in there, a little thin, maybe a 1x1 across here, just to give additional support to this. I mean, it does have 2 full sides and most of a third. Yes, definitely when you cut into something like that, you weaken it. But I'll repair that up once I realize how much clearance I have. But I had to cut into there pretty deep just to make sure there's clearance. But everything else is braced. And like I said, I'll just add a little 1-inch cube strip in here, supported by this and all the way in, and that will take away any of the structural damage I did here. I mean, it's just a homemade shelf bit from the previous owner, or maybe 2-3 owners ago. But this is in, so I can start putting some of these toys back in. And I'll show you the other side. Okay, so here it is, the other side. I think with the track, all my trains with pantographs will have room because they're only going to come this one. One change in plan is, as I launched this, originally I was going to have just turn out, run this way, but I think I'm going to have a 3-way coming off here and going this way to have 2 branch off, and then a split and a split to go this way. I have to buy a 3-way turnout. But I should be able to start laying some track through here. So let's see how that goes. So first test is the loco barely makes it under. I'm going to have to cut more of that out. It does make it under, but it is by millimeters. If the pantographs were up by any accident, we'd be in trouble. So I will cut more of that out. Okay, so I've widened that a bit, but I've decided I'm going to just have to go buy a piece of strong 1/4 round to put on the other side and replace the bracket that's in there holding up that shelf. 1/4 round would go up higher by bracing it strongly into that 2x4, that 2x4, and I think that 2x4, because I think the closet covers all of it, excuse me, will be plenty strong enough to hold that shelf with the other 2. That will give me another 1/2 inch to 1 inch by getting rid of that bracket that's holding the, I don't know if it's a 1x3, 1x4. I think it's a 1x3, but I'll be able to take it completely out and use that 1/4 round in place instead, and that will give me more room to go up. The pantographs fit under it just fine now, but if there's a raised pantograph, then there's a problem. Or double-decker cars might have a problem right now. But I'm not going to test because this is not anywhere near ready to go. Eventually, I will, once I'm happy with where it's at, I will secure this track to here. I did this as a test of concept. Unfortunately, by putting the left-hand turnout here, and then I'll need more left-hand turnouts eventually this way, this is just too tight onto there. If I go with the 3-way, the 3-way would come about here, and then I would still get 1, 2, 3, 4 additional parking lanes in. But I've run it all the way down. It's kind of hard to see. I'll try to do that. So I did one test run all the way down. And so that should be some nice long lengths for some additional trains. I definitely can't put my 9-10 foot trains. I mean, this board here, this is 4 foot, 4 foot, an additional 15 inches. So you're looking at about 101 inches minus room for the buffer stop. So I can maybe get, 8 to 8.5 foot trains in there. So something like my IC4, which is 12 cars, it's not going in here. But some of my shorter ICE 1s and ICE 2s and even my 5-car and 6-car ICE 3 could be parked in here. And the TEE for sure could be parked in here. Although I really like to park it. The Czech Railjet could go in here. Maybe those DMU or EMUs I have, the Desiro and Velaros that I have could easily go in here. So that will create more parking space. And again, I could double up some of the ones, but I'd have to do shunting. So somewhere in here, I will have to put a camera so I can keep an eye on here. I've got to motorize and digitize all these switches. But the concept works. I did run the Railjet here just to make sure. I will want to run an additional power line into here just to make sure there's enough power this far away from the Central Station 3. But really for the next 2-3 weeks at least, this is where it's at until I can buy some more turnouts and track, because this is it for my track. This is it for all my straights. I've got a ton of curves, but don't want curves. Now, if I had flexi track, I could maybe put some flexi track in here and curve it around, go tight on this one. And try to get this past there. But as it is right now, they don't make flexi track and C track now. I could get a C track to K track converter, run a flexi track through here, and then another C to K track converter, well, in that case, K to C track converter, and then run C track. So I would have a train buffering in through here. There's enough play in these. I could easily move that around. So that's just one more idea to consider. But for now, I'm going to call this video and this whole setup done. It's in proof of concept. It does work. The Railjet did come through. I did not run it all the way through because I didn't have all the track raised, but we ran it. Unfortunately, it didn't get filmed because I was running the train and Joyce was watching in here, so nobody was filming. So anyhow, we'll leave it at that. Back to me. Okay, so the proof of concept is there. Obviously, a change of plans because the way it came off the wall shifted how it was going to go straight on. And even though I'm about an inch wider in this room than I was out here, I lose a couple of inches to those brackets on the wall. And so my original thought of just running straight, and then I would only get 4 lines that way instead of 5. I'm hoping I might be able to get 5. I'm going to try a 3-way in there and hope that the 3-way works. But it may be that instead of the outer line, it might be a center line that becomes the traffic line. In the end, I want to get 4, but if I can only get 3 extra parking lanes, that's still 3 extra parking lanes, and I can use them to multiple park certain things or create secondary sidings further on. I am nowhere near done. A lot of things need to be secured better, protected. I'll put up retaining walls so that if the trains get knocked, they stay on the boards. You saw what I did with the bridge already. But I'm happy with where it's at in terms of proof of concept. I'm certainly not disappointed. I just, unfortunately, a couple of things that as I was thinking about it, I just assumed that it would go straight through on the 1 lane and I would have enough room to put 4 additional lanes over. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but we'll try it once I get the additional left-hand turnouts. But I'm going to go ahead and buy a 3. I've got to buy a bunch more straights. I am completely out of straights unless I strip all my showing lanes of my C track. But yeah, either way, even that would not be enough. But it would save me some money, and then I'll buy some cheap 2-rail track for displaying some of these trains on. So yeah, I think the concept is there and it's already in. The bridge is a bit more of an incline than I planned, but the trains will handle it. they'll be fine. It's just the one lane. They'll go down coming out and going up. They'll just need a little kick. And I am going to have to run a booster wire, power wire that way, I think. Definitely when I was testing the Railjet, which I didn't film, sorry, it started to hit a point where it was struggling a little bit with what I consider a power feed. I don't think it was struggling with the incline. It was struggling because it was getting a lot of juice. Now I could crank it up and that would solve the problem, but why not just make sure there's some clean power running through there. All right. So overall proof of concept, this will be the last video for a while. Those of you who follow us on Facebook know Joyce and I got hit with something really bad, and hopefully that will get settled, but we're also getting into that time where we need to be looking forward to Germany. So I've got to pick up some track, I got to pick up some turnouts, and yeah, we will work on it again. It's only forward from here. So until the next time, I'll say Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.